Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Sepang International Circuit here in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. We continue the fourth round of the 2025 F4 Southeast Asia Championship, certified by FIA, promoted by Top Speed. I'm Jake Sanson. Great to be back with you in the commentary box once again. After the absolute thriller that we had yesterday, we get to have another one this morning. Yesterday's encounter saw this man, Nicolo Macagnani, start from rookie pole position with championship leader Alex Sawyer starting all the way back in P5. But that did not deter the Vietnamese ace as he charged his way through to grab the victory on the very last lap of yesterday's encounter to move within 3 points this weekend of becoming champion. It is very much on the cards if he outscores Seth Gilmore by a further 3 points over these two races. He will become the champion. So it's not going to happen in race 2, but it could well happen in race 3, and is more than likely to. After 8 wins from 9 starts, the Vietnamese driver is on the crest of history. No driver from Vietnam has ever won an FIA single-seater championship in history. Today could be that day. We go into race 2, which is the reverse grid race. That means that the results of yesterday will set the grid for today, with the top 6 finishers reversed in position. That means that pole position for this race goes to the Indian talent, Rishon Rajiv of the Black Arts Racing team. But almost unbelievably in terms of the ramifications for the championship, the man who lines up alongside him is Australia's Seth Gilmore, the very man who could deny the championship title this weekend for Alex Sawyer. 29 degrees Celsius air temperature already, and it's only 10 o'clock in the morning here in Kuala Lumpur. Track temperatures are set to get into the 50s and even the 60s over the course of the day. So it's going to be another very hot day at the races. No rain expected for today, although there is some cloud cover. And this is Kuala Lumpur, so the rain can suddenly appear even when it's not predicted or expected. So do not for one moment think that we are out of the woods in terms of weather forecast just yet. Everything that could happen is likely to at least potentially make an appearance. It's been a fantastic battle over the course of the season, and I am now told that the original weather forecast of sunshine all the way is now slightly adapted, and I'm told that there is a 50 to 60% chance that we could get some rain between 11 and 12 o'clock. Now, that's not really going to affect the F4 Southeast Asia Championship Race 2. At least it shouldn't do, unless it comes early. But there is, of course, potential for the championship that comes after this one, which is the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia, which does have some relevance to the F4 Southeast Asia Championship, because the man who is about to potentially clinch the championship in F4 Southeast Asia did actually race in Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia in between round 3 and 4 at the Inja Speedium in South Korea for the DW Evans GT team, replacing Nazim Azman, who had a broken ankle. And so in preparation for this round of the championship, Alex Sawyer got his first taste of GT racing. Very different. He really talked very endlessly about how exciting it was, with a lot of power, a very heavy car. He learnt a lot that day, and he's been able to use that knowledge and that skill to make his way into the battle for the F4 Southeast Asia Championship title. So as it stands, he only needs to score 3 points more than Seth Gilmore across the next 2 races, and he will be champion. Mathematically, he cannot seal the title in race 2, but he can seal it in race 3. So all he's got to do is stay focused, and the job is his. But everybody I know who is a motor racing fan out in Ho Chi Minh and across all of the fantastic cities and districts in Vietnam who are motorsport fans are watching along in the hope that their boy is going to give them a slice of history. Rishon Rajiv and Seth Gilmore then will be on the front row of the starting grid. Race 1 winner yesterday, Alex Sawyer, there on your screens in car number 12, is going to be starting all the way back in P6. So he's going to be even further back on the grid than he was yesterday when he charged through from 5th on the grid to P1. He's going to have it harder than ever to get a victory in this race, but that hasn't stopped him before. In reverse grid races at both the Sepang circuit back in May and at the Buriram circuit in June, he was able to turn a low grid position into a race victory. So if he does it again today, he has basically got one hand on the championship trophy. But it's going to be very difficult to do. Rishon Rajiv, pole position. Seth Gilmore, second on the grid. Third will be the Philippines racer Inigo Anton. And then he'll have Kyo Lee and Nicolo Macagnani to get ahead before he reaches the lead. There is the track map of this fantastic circuit that hosted Formula One from 1999 all the way through to 2017, and still, of course, hosts the Petronas Grand Prix for MotoGP. A fantastic race circuit. Super GT came back here for the first time in almost a decade after an amazing return to form earlier in the season, where over 65,000 spectators came through the doors in 3 days. Motorsport still has an amazing heritage here in Malaysia. It's been built up over the last 25 years or so, and it's really fantastic to watch. I was actually in my hotel last night watching the Petronas Cup Prix, which is the junior grade of motorcycles here in Malaysia. And fascinating and fantastic motorsport it is. It shows you that there is still just a wealth of enthusiasm and excitement. The Malaysian Touring Car Championship that's taking place later today has 44 cars on the starting grid for their 300-kilometre race yesterday, and I'm sure for today's race it's going to be just as exciting and intense. Really good stuff. But for the F4 Southeast Asia Championship drivers, there is a lot to do and a lot to battle for going into this race. Rishon Rajiv and Seth Gilmore, front row of the grid. Inigo Anton and Kyoho Lee on the second row of the grid. Kyoho Lee joining the championship, having raced for the main part of this 2025 campaign in the F4 Spanish Championship, questing for top 10 finishes. So it's no major shock that he's already in the top 5. This man burst out of the blocks yesterday for the returning Pinnacle Motorsport team, Niccolò Macagnani, the Italian, who's spent the last 4 years not karting, but testing F4 cars. He's gone a very different route to how he works his way up the motorsport ladder. Most young kids will spend thousands upon thousands of euros in Europe going racing in karting in the Champions of the Future and the FIA Karting Championships. Well, this boy's done it very differently. 4 years worth of testing in F4 on private circuits to build up his stamina and build up his strength. And yesterday, he had his first major test going wheel-to-wheel with Alex Sawyer. He locked up into turn 1 on the final lap, and that was enough to allow the Vietnamese driver to go through. He learned a lot yesterday, took the rookie victory on his debut, but he'll want to win a race outright. And this time, he gets to go alongside Alex Sawyer on the starting grid. 7th on the grid will be Thomas Yu Lee. 8th will be the new boy from Malaysia, Imran Putera. Wong Xiongwei and Ben Yuing will be on the 5th row of the grid after their amazing duel yesterday. Karin Kar 11th, Joshua Berry 12th, and Wallapong Yamchan at the back. So there's your pole sitter. Rishon Rajiv, the Indian, podiums in Indian Racing League, race winner in the F4 Indian Championship in a very different car to this one. In India, the F4 car is a Megale. Here, in the Southeast Asia Championship, it is the Tartus. And the drivers have been telling me that they are two very different racing cars. They feel completely different, even though they look almost identical to the outside observer. But they are very different machines, and you've got to drive them in a very different way. So Rishon Rajiv, pole position on the reverse grid with a genuine chance of grabbing not just another podium, but maybe his first win of the season. So far, all of the races have been won by Alex Sawyer, and this man, Seth Gilmore, got his first race victory on the Bang Sim Grand Prix street circuit at the first weekend of July. 2 months ago, he spent the entirety of the last 2 months in the gym or on the sim, getting himself ready and prepared for another exciting bout. 3rd position on the grid, flying the flag for the Philippines, Inigo Anton, a very strong competitor, already champion of racing back home in Philippines in Toyota Gazoo and in various other categories, the Vios Cup champion as well. An amazing opportunity for him to continue his work forward. And from 3rd on the grid, he's got a great chance. Yesterday, he struggled a little bit with the balance of the car. They will have done some work overnight to get it more to his liking, I'm sure. Kyoho Lee, 4th position on the grid for the Korean driver. He won the FIA Karting OKN World Cup event last year, the first of its kind for senior drivers at national level in karting. And Kyoho Lee was the top driver from anyone around the world. So that's an amazing feat to take into his account. And don't forget, that's a very similar championship title to the one that was clinched by Charles Leclerc all the way back in 2011 in the Academy Trophy. The OKN World Cup runs in a very similar manner. So it's fantastic to see Kyoho Lee add his name to the FIA Karting Roll of Honour. Next up on the grid, the Italian stallion that everybody's talking about, Niccolò Macagnani. Nobody knew his name, really, before this weekend. Now everybody knows his name. Pole position on his debut, going into his 2nd ever car race. He was 2nd yesterday, rookie winner as well. But the youngster who's going to be part of the Ferrari Driver Academy next season, definitely one to watch. a man who's literally come into this top level of the single-seater ladder under the radar and behind the scenes. Now he has come right up to the limelight and has shown himself already to be quite a stellar individual. But everybody watching back home in Vietnam, this is your potential first champion in an FIA single-seater championship. Sawyer Hoang Dat, also known as Alex Sawyer, the man who flies the flag for Vietnam. And after a fantastic run in recent years for Owen Tangavelu, it's now great to see that after years of waiting for one star, Vietnam now has two. And Alex Sawyer could go all the way today and become the country's first FIA certified single-seater champion. They've waited a heck of a long time since motorsport was invented in 1896. It looks like today, after almost 130 years of motorsport, Vietnam will finally get its first major champion. There's the American, Thomas Lee, who did a fantastic job yesterday in his Tropicana helmet design and his dual livery on the Evans GP car. He raced fantastically yesterday in amongst the Evans GP and Black Arts boys. He's 40 years of age, and yet he's still able to mix it with the best of the young teenage whippersnapper talent. And certainly this has been his best weekend so far. Everyone watching in Malaysia, this is your boy wonder, Imran Putera. Part of the Black Arts Academy, technically a second team that the squad is running, but he is being coached and tutored under the watchful eye of the ex-Formula One driver Alex Young, still the only Malaysian ever to race in Formula One. And this boy has already got immense talent and potential. He was really on pace yesterday, considering he's only had time in the car since Tuesday. So very impressive from young Imran Putera. There's lots to come from him in the future, I'm sure. For all those of you who are watching along from China and have command of English, a very good morning to you. Your man is about to go into the breach once again, Wang Xiongwei for the Origin Motorsport team. The car may not be carrying Origin colours because the race car had technical problems in the run-up to the weekend, so he is in the donor car, as it were. But trust Wang Xiongwei to get behind the wheel of a car, give him a steering wheel and two pedals, and he will still push like stink. Alongside him on the grid is the man who wheel-to-wheel duelled with him all the way through yesterday. Vietnam hope for a title today, but they've got two drivers on the grid who could bring up some fireworks. The other one, of course, is Ben Yuing. Did a fantastic job yesterday, really mixing it wheel-to-wheel. His pace over one lap has been extraordinary in the last few weeks, carrying the sticker of Momentum Racing, who are here selling their fantastic wares of motorsport, hoping to become the Demon Tweaks of Southeast Asia. 11th on the grid for Karin Carr, Singapore's first ever female racer in F4. Did a fantastic job across the Asian Peninsula in karting, in Rotax, Yami, and in Rock Cup. Fantastic to see her progress. There is the number 7, Joshua Berry. He's been very impressive in the last few weeks to really raise his game. He had technical problems yesterday, though, which is why he's only starting back in 12th on the grid. The Singaporean had problems before the race even started. Ended up having to go from the pit lane and never made the progress up. Very unfortunate. And the final man on the starting grid is from Thailand, Wadapong Yamchan from Pattaya City in the Star Performance squad. Sadly, his teammate Ayat from Asdathorn is not on the starting grid this time. And of course, it's going to be fantastic to watch Wadapong Yamchan in consecutive weeks, because I'll be able to follow him basically for the majority of September. I'm here with him in Sepang International. Then he'll go back to Pattaya City on the Bira circuit, named after Prince Bira, Thailand's first ever Formula One driver. He'll be competing in the final round of the Infinity AAMI Series Asia next week. And then he'll jump straight out of the karts again and come back to the F4 Southeast Asia Championship on the Sepang circuit 2 weeks from now. So in 3 consecutive weeks, I'm going to be following Putter basically everywhere he goes. He's going to be sick of the sight of me by Wednesday. So the grid is cleared, and the drivers will go around the circuit in order to warm up the tyres and the brakes, and then they will take up their position on the main starting grid. The dummy grid is here on the south paddock, because that is the pit lane for the F4 cars. The main Grand Prix pit lane is being occupied by the Malaysian Touring Car Championship, the classic cars that come out, and also the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia, which is the race that follows this one. But for the F4 Southeast Asia drivers, it's a reverse grid race. So for Rishon Rajiv and Seth Gilmore on the front row of the grid, it's time to go for glory, and it's time to be brave. We go around for a formation lap. And of course, everybody watching back home in Vietnam knows that this is the moment for their potential glory. Looks like Thomas Yu Lee's got a problem getting off the start, but he has been able to do so now. And the field did not overtake him in its entirety, so he will be able to take up his original starting position on the grid. If you fall to the back, then you have to start from the back. But Thomas Yu Lee did get going before the entirety of the field passed him, so he will be able to take his original grid position. So that's good news for Thomas Yu Lee, the American, who starts 7th on the grid for this one. But all eyes are going to be on the man starting P6, number 12, Alex Sawyer, the Vietnamese driver, starting 6th on the grid. If he can charge his way through to the front, then he will be just one more race away from becoming champion. So at the final round of the championship at Sepang in 2 weeks' time, there is still going to be 94 points available, but he has a decent lead in his pocket already. Richon Rajiv and Seth Gilmore, front row of the starting grid. Inigo Anton of the Philippines, alongside Kyoho Lee, the Korean, for the Evans GP squad in P4. 5th on the grid, the new Italian stallion, Niccolò Maccagnani, rookie winner yesterday, and the champion in waiting, Alex Sawyer, P6 on the grid. Thomas Yu Lee for the United States, 7th position, alongside the Malaysian talent, Imran Putera for the Black Arts Academy. 9th on the starting grid for Wong Shong Wei of the Origin team, then Ben Yuing of Vietnam, 10th on the grid for Black Arts. Karin Ka, the Singaporean, alongside her countryman Joshua Berry for Black Arts, and at the very back of the grid, it'll be Wadapong Yamchan or Putta to his Thai fan base. So as the cars make their way around the course, warming up the tyres and brakes to the optimum temperature, track temperatures are likely to get into the 60-degree mark. It got as high as 65 degrees Celsius track temperature yesterday, with an air temperature of around 33 to 34 degrees Celsius. So it's going to be another very hot day. Yesterday it was predicted we would have no rain on Sunday. Now it's predicted that we're going to have a 50 to 60% chance of rain around 11 o'clock, and that is in 43 minutes time. So in theory, the rain should not affect the battle in the F4 Southeast Asia Championship. But I've said it before, and I'll say it again, in Kuala Lumpur, the weather forecast is just a suggestion. So now we'll get to see just how exciting the racing is set to be. Yesterday was an absolute thriller to the final lap, where we saw Niccolò Maccagnani battle with Alex Sawyer. On the very last lap, a mistake at turn 1 for Maccagnani saw Alex Sawyer charge through from 5th on the grid to take the victory. Today in the reverse grid race, it's going to be even harder from 6th on the grid, but he doesn't have to win the race today. Just a points finish will do, even if it's behind Seth Gilmore, because the big moment for him will come in race 3 when he starts from pole position with a chance to become Vietnam's first ever FIA certified single-seater champion. There have been race victories several times now for Vietnamese drivers, particularly, of course, from Alex Sawyer, who had already won in Chinese and Indian F4 prior to this. But of course, don't forget Owen Tangavelu, another fantastic race driver from Vietnam, who's been plying his trade in Formula Regional, both in the Middle East and in Europe. He's also been racing in Euro Cup 3, so there's a big opportunity for the Vietnamese motorsport community to taste championship success today here in Malaysia. As the cars get themselves filed into their grid positions, it looks like everybody's okay this time. Nobody's going to be starting from the pit lane as all 13 drivers line up. The green flag is flying at the back of the grid. So for the second time this weekend on the Petronas Sepang International Circuit, we're about to go racing in the F4 Southeast Asian Championship. Rajiv on pole, Gilmore second, Anton, Lee, Maccagnani and Sawyer. Let's race again at Sepang. Not a great start for Alex Sawyer initially, but he's been able to find the wheel spin and drop it. It looks like a terrific start coming in from Inigo Anton as left on the grid. That's one of the Black Arts cars down to the back end of the grid. I think that is the 67 of Karin Ka, but it's 3 wide into turn 1 as the Black Arts guys are going to try and swap it. And the inside comes Seth Gilmore to try and take the lead around the outside. Richon Rajiv and Inigo Anton still fighting strong. Is that Alex Sawyer trying to work his way through on the inside of Niccolò Maccagnani? He's had to bail out of it as Kyoho Lee now finds himself in 3rd position. A mistake then from Inigo Anton, and that's put Kyoho Lee into 3rd position. He's now swarming around all over Seth Gilmore as Alex Sawyer makes his way on the inside of Maccagnani and Anton. He's into 4th position already. Great start from Alex Sawyer up into 4th place ahead of Makinyani as Inigo Anton slips back into 6th position. Not a great start for the Philippines racer. Now he's going to go aggressive to try and take on the Italian Makinyani. So that will be Inigo Anton's mission to try and get back into the top 5. Rajiv leads the way. Gilmore 2nd, Lee 3rd, Sawyer 4th, Makinyani 5th, and Inigo Anton in 6th place as we watch Putera battling away there with Joshua Berry. So far so good though for Rishon Rajiv. He's held his nerve in the first couple of corners with a lot of pressure from the Evans GP trio on the inside line. That's a bold lunge from Putera. Oh, sorry, no, that's from Ben Yuing, my apologies. Putera's already ahead of these guys. So good work from the Malaysian rookie, but Ben Yuing gets his way past Thomas Yuli, and now Joshua Berry's threatening to do the same. But Rishon Rajiv is still confident up front with Seth Gilmore behind him. And remember, the last time that these two came to battle wheel to wheel on the Sepang circuit at round 1, race 3, they had that wheel-banging fest which almost ended in a collision as Alex Sawyer battling away again with Makinyani. Makinyani's fighting back on the Vietnamese driver. So down the main straight, Makinyani wants a little bit more from Alex Sawyer. He goes long because that's where Sawyer sends him. He's going to go right round the outside. Can he late brake the car and then make the switch back onto Alex Sawyer? If Makinyani can out-drag Sawyer on the main straight, that would be something pretty special from the young Italian. But meanwhile, Seth Gilmore knows that a win is possible, so he's going after Rishon Rajiv. He's going to go the long way again. Rajiv sends him to the far side. Can Gilmore outbrake him in a turn 1? Yes, he can! Seth Gilmore takes the lead in a turn 1. Fantastic run from the Australian. Seth Gilmore hits the front. So now Rajiv in a 2nd, Kyo Lee in 3rd, from Alex Sawyer, Nicolo Makinyani and Inigo Anton. Fantastic battling so far, but Seth Gilmore needs to win if he wants to keep his championship aspirations alive. So this is perfect. Here comes Kyo Lee. The Korean gets through into 2nd place now. Good run from Kyo Lee. Just when Black Arts thought they caught up to the Evans GP boys, they've added a 3rd member to the squad, and Kyo Lee really makes an impact. I say 3rd, of course there was already a 3rd in Thomas Yuli, but I think Thomas would be the first to agree that he's not in the race for the overall victory. But Kyo Lee certainly is, along with Seth Gilmore and Alex Sawyer for the Evans GP team. No issues on the first couple of laps as the medical car passes me in pit lane. But Seth Gilmore leads the way from Kyo Lee, Rishon Rajiv and Alex Sawyer. Now Sawyer seems to have dealt with the pressure of Makinyani and Anton for the time being, and he's got his sights firmly set on Rishon Rajiv. But a win for Seth Gilmore is critical here because he will get 30 points for doing so. 2nd gets 22, 3rd gets 18. So if Alex Sawyer can break into 3rd place, that means that Seth Gilmore will take back 12 of the points that he lost yesterday. He lost 18 points to Alex Sawyer in the championship fight. So to pick up a win now ahead of Alex Sawyer would actually turn the championship fight back in his favour for a little while longer. Sawyer would still lead the championship, but he certainly wouldn't be safe to secure it yet. And car 56 is under investigation for the start. That is Thomas Yuli, who has fallen all the way to 11th place. So there might be an issue there as Alex Sawyer gets a chance on the inside of Rishon Rajiv, who runs wide at the hairpin. The Indian versus the Vietnamese. A big mistake there from Nicolo Makinyani that's going to drop him down the order on the main straight. Inigo Anton may get a run on him into turn 1. But Alex Sawyer is fighting to get his Evans GP car into the top 3 round the outside of Rishon Rajiv. Has he got the confidence? There's almost contact. Rajiv holds him back. No, you don't, sir. Fantastic from Rajiv to defend as Sawyer tries again. And now Makinyani has a look on the inside of Alex Sawyer. This is an even tougher race than yesterday's was for the Vietnamese driver. And as a result, we've got an absolute spellbinding contest between the top 6. Sawyer is not going to be backed down by Rajiv again into turn 4. And he makes it stick. Rajiv tries to hold it round the outside. There's contact. They hit each other. And Sawyer goes off the road. Makinyani's through. Anton's through. Sawyer's down to P5. Rajiv's down to P6. That was 2 drivers who were absolutely determined they were not going to back down. And that's what it's cost them. So Sawyer's down to 5th, Rajiv's down to 6th. That was very unfortunate, and that was a case of I will not surrender, neither will I. So the 2 of them are now quite a long way back from the chasing leaders, Seth Gilmore and Kyo Lee. Let's have a look at it again. So Sawyer absolutely resolute. I'm going to make this move on the inside. I've got to if I want to win this race. Rajiv decides, no, you don't. I'm going to hold this round the outside. And bang, there's the contact. They run wide. And I'm astonished that neither driver's got a puncture, to be honest. So Alex Sawyer carries on. But this is going to be the toughest race he's ever had all season, as Putter gets his first warning for track limits. And there's a drive-through penalty for Thomas Lee for a start procedure infringement. So Thomas Lee will now fall to the back of the grid, I'm afraid. But out in front, it is Seth Gilmore from Lee, Makanyani, Anton, Sawyer and Rishon Rajiv. Well, Alex Sawyer is not going to be particularly happy with Rishon Rajiv, because obviously the two of them ended up having a very tough race with each other. We're going to have to figure out if there's going to be a penalty, if there's going to be an investigation for that one as well, because both drivers lost places. They let Anton and Makanyani come through. Here comes the overtaking move on the inside of Inigo Anton. Alex Sawyer gets his move into fourth position, past the Filipino. So a great run from Alex Sawyer again there. Makes his move look just as easy as it was yesterday. So fantastic battle. It sounded like there was some very acute wheel spin and a screech of the brakes going into a corner there on my camera. I don't know if that's turned into an incident or not, but Thomas Lee drives through the pit lane. Turn 4 incident between 12 and 25 noted by the officials. So they are going to investigate by the look of it. What if Sawyer or Rajiv got a penalty? That was brutal, watching the two of them race and duke it out. It was almost like a boxing bout when they went through turn 4. Fisticuffs like that never really ends well in F4, and it looks like one or two of them, well, they might both get a penalty, or that neither of them might get one. But there you go, it's been noted by race control. Both drivers are still going. Sawyer got the advantage by getting ahead of Rishon Rajiv. Now there's going to be arguments in both camps there for that one. They're going to say that one party is going to say that Alex Sawyer was far enough up the inside and had the corner for the inside and Rajiv should have bailed out of it. The other party is going to say, well, Sawyer was very aggressive into turn 4 to get the move on the inside line and didn't really leave enough space for Rajiv on the outside. Both arguments are going to be interesting to note, but what it's going to lead to, we're going to have to wait and see, I guess. Certainly for the moment, though, Seth Gilmore is the man with the plan. He leads the way here. From Lee of Korea, then Niccolo Maccagnani, the Italian, and Alex Sawyer of Vietnam. There is Inigo Anton, struggling for grip by the look of it, down in 5th position, and there's Rishon Rajiv, the former pole sitter in this reverse grid race. They go past our position on the main straight, and it's still Gilmore from Lee, Maccagnani, Sawyer, Anton and Rajiv. Then in 7th place, pat on the back for the Malaysian start, Imran Butera, his 2nd ever car race, and he's ahead of Ben Yuing, Wong Shong Wei, Josh Berry, Wonapong Yamchan and Karim Kaur. So some good work so far then from Imran Butera, the Malaysian, doing a fantastic job. And he's actually best of the rest. If you take the top 6 out of the equation, Imran Butera is leading them. And he's actually got a bit of a battle to come, because that looks like the other Vietnamese driver closing him down. Ben Yuing is catching Imran Butera. There is Alex Young, team principal of the Black Arts Racing team. He's got the candle burning at both ends here, because he's got Anton in 5th, Rajiv in 6th, Butera in 7th and Nguyen in 8th, with Josh Berry down in 10th position. But this is not the race they were hoping for. The Black Arts team were hoping for a podium from pole position and 3rd place, and now both of their cars are outside the top 4. Seth Gilmore, 2:10.2, fastest lap of the race, and it's certainly looking really exciting for Seth Gilmore to get the victory here. Here are the teammates about to go into a battle by the look of it. Imran Butera and Ben Yuing trying to close in on the top 6. So it'll be a fantastic situation out there on the course. This is the man who leads the way, the Australian Seth Gilmore, looking for his 2nd win of the season. His 1st win of the year, of course, was at the Bangkok Grand Prix. Ayrton Asdathorn crossed the line first, but then got a penalty. So Seth Gilmore inherited the win. He says a win is a win, and I know I got it, so that's fine for me. But I know that for his own personal confidence, he would dearly love to stay out in front and make this his second win of the season. There is Kyo Lee, who's been racing in the F4 Spanish Championship all the way through this year with the Rodin team. He's not had it particularly easy this year, but he has scored points in the F4 Spanish Championship, which is a grid full of 36 cars most of the time. So that's very impressive. This man, Niccolò Maccagnani, that's a name you're going to hear a lot in 2026. He's part of the Ferrari Young Driver Academy next year. And now Thomas Lee is under investigation for crossing the pit exit demarcation line after his drive-through penalty. That's like kicking a man in the ribs when he's already got a broken nose. Thomas Lee's already had a penalty for starting infringement. Now he's crossed the pit exit demarcation line by the look of it. And so that would end up in another penalty. I don't know, if I was a driver in that position, I'd probably come into the pits and park it and have another go later. But that's why I'm not a world champion. You've got to feel for Thomas Lee. It hasn't rained yet here at Sepang, but it's raining on him for sure. Alex Sawyer, 4.5 seconds back from the race leader, with 12.5 minutes roughly to go. But Seth Gilmore has got 2 seconds clear of Kyo Lee. Niccolò Maccagnani is closing back up on the Korean, and Alex Sawyer is just sitting and waiting in 4th position. He doesn't need to win this one. He's got pole position for race 3, with a chance to seal the championship in the 3rd encounter. So let's see how this race is going to play out for the remaining 12.5 minutes. We are halfway through. 12.5 minutes plus the additional lap, don't forget. So Seth Gilmore out in front. Oh, there's damage! There's damage to Josh Berry's car as Karine Kaur gets her move on the inside of Wonapong Yamchan, but Josh Berry's got a broken front wing. How has that happened? So the Singaporean is about to be overtaken by his countrywoman. Karine Kaur will get the overtaking move here, possibly after the pit lane for Josh Berry, but he's got a broken front wing, so the Black Arts driver is going to have to come into the pits to repair it. There's no way he can go flat on the throttle around this circuit with the lack of grip he's got. He's going to have to turn in. Karine, just wait for him. There we go. Josh Berry comes into the pits on the south paddock with a broken front wing. Oh, I really hope that doesn't detach and go under the car, because that will really do damage to the floor. But you've got to feel for Josh Berry. That is not what he needed in this race. Comes to a stop. Thank goodness the wing did not detach underneath the car. But I'm afraid for any chance of a point for Josh Berry, that is pretty much game over. He was given a mechanical flag, so he had to come in. But it's a change of front wing. It's now an extended test session for Josh Berry for the remaining 11 minutes. You've got to feel for the Singaporean. He's had the speed, and he's had the skill, and he's had the talent all year. But in terms of luck, if you snapped his arm in half, it would have bad luck written through it like Blackpool Rock. Meanwhile, Niccolò Maccagnani fancies his chances here on Kyo Lee. So the Italian, who did a fantastic job of leading every lap but one yesterday on his debut, now fancies a go at some proper racecraft, going after the Korean Kyo Lee. And the Korean certainly doesn't want to be upstaged by a driver who's only ever raced once in F4, and that was yesterday. So incident involving Wong Xiongwei and Joshua Berry is noted. So there's been some contact somewhere on the circuit by the look of it between Josh Berry and Wong Xiongwei that has resulted in the Singaporean's front wing becoming detached. So I don't really know if we're going to get another look at that incident, but certainly that will be the reason why Josh Berry's got a broken front wing. Niccolò Maccagnani, 10 minutes to go. What can the young Italian stallion do about this boy up front, Kyo Lee? FIA karting OKN World Cup champion last year, a serious talent. May not have the budget of the blue chip companies, but certainly has the skill. But he runs wide in the hairpin. Maccagnani's got a chance on him into turn 1 now. And Alex Sawyer is just sitting there in 4th place, watching to see what happens between these two, as Seth Gilmore runs in the lead, 3 seconds clear of the rest of his team. Kyo Lee tries the Maccagnani tactic of swarming around to try and shake him off his tail. Lee will go a little bit wide into the hairpin. Maccagnani sees the gap, but he can't get through. Rumbles on the curb, has another go into the second apex, and Alex Sawyer sits and waits for his chance. Even second position would be pretty pleasant for Alex Sawyer for the moment. He won't be thinking about winning the championship just yet. He'll be thinking about it though in race 3 when he starts from pole position with a chance to extend. All he's got to do is outscore his teammate Seth Gilmore by 22 points over the weekend. So far, he's outscored him by 20. So 2 more points more than Gilmore this weekend, and he is the champion. But let's remind ourselves that Gilmore is leading, Sawyer is down in 4th place, and he just got very wide through 6. So maybe he's going to have to wait until the finale. Because if Gilmore stays where he is and Sawyer stays where he is, then Gilmore's going to pick up 12 points more. No, in fact, he's actually going to pick up 15 points more. So that's really going to help him in the championship fight, because that's only going to give Alex Sawyer 3 points more than Seth Gilmore over the weekend, because he scored 18 points more than him yesterday. He'll score 15 points less than Seth Gilmore in this one, so that'll even the score a little bit. So the championship could go down to the final round after all, unless this gets tasty. Maccagnani versus Kyoho Lee, who looks in his mirror. He knows the Italian is there. But if these two start bantering, Alex Sawyer is poised in 4th position to take advantage. And Lee is desperate to get the Italian off his back. Maccagnani breaks late, trying to outfox Lee, who again runs wide of the hairpin. Maccagnani wants a good exit. Alex Sawyer sits in 4th place. This is entertaining. I'll just let you boys scrap away. Across the line. 7 minutes 20, still left in this race. Is Maccagnani going to go for broke in turn 1? He's closer than he's ever been. Lee knows he's there. Maccagnani looks. Lee goes across the radius. And he's going to run a little bit wide, but there's not going to be a gap to go through. So now Maccagnani can have another try in a turn 4. He's going to have to try and stay in the draft and go up the hill. But look at the gap that Lee has already opened up between himself and Maccagnani on the exit of 2. So the Italian will not get a shot into turn 4. Sawyer is looking more likely to get the move now. Fascinating to watch these young junior talents develop on the spot. And look at Maccagnani. He's desperate to shake off Sawyer. Left, right, trying to figure out where Sawyer's going to go. And then you go through 5 and 6, 2 of the fastest apexes in Southeast Asia. And you've got to try and keep the back of that car stable. And there's a 5-second time penalty for Alex Sawyer. Alex Sawyer's been given a penalty for the incident with Rishon Rajiv. 5-second time penalty for the Vietnamese. So even if he does get ahead, it's almost guaranteed now he's not going to get the victory. 5-second penalty for Alex Sawyer of Vietnam for his incident with Rishon Rajiv earlier on. Oh, I don't know about that one. It's an interesting one to call. But they have clearly decided that Sawyer's move that resulted in the contact with Rajiv, he gained an advantage by contact, technically speaking. So there is the official confirmation on your screens. Alex Sawyer, 5-second penalty. And I think that's the first time he's got one of those this year. So Thomas Lee has already taken his penalty, but I'm afraid he's now been given the black flag, because he's done it again on the exit. That's a real shame for Thomas Lee. He now gets the black flag. He will come into the pits and his race will be over. He got a drive-through penalty for his starting infringement. He then took the drive-through penalty for doing so. He crossed the pit lane exit at the end of his drive-through penalty. He had to take another drive-through penalty for crossing the demarcation line. And now he's been given the black flag for doing it a second time. What a shame for Thomas Lee. And that is not the kind of character he is. He's not the kind of driver who makes these kind of mistakes often. This is just one of those bad days at the office that he will not be remembering in a hurry. Well, very tricky now as Seth Gilmore is on the charge to his second victory of the season at the most critical time in the year to get one. And look, he's pulled away from Kyoho Lee, driving the crest of confidence. The Aussie out front is now 4.5 seconds clear of Lee, with with Macagnani in third and Alex Sawyer coupled with a 5-second penalty. So he may just decide, you know what, there's no point trying to get ahead of the guys in front. I'll never be able to pull 5 seconds clear of them anyway, so I'll just stay here. And now we've got Ben Yuing in front of Imran Putera, his teammate. So the Vietnamese talent's got ahead and up into 7th position. This is definitely turning into one of the races of the year for Ben Yuing. Yesterday, he spent the entire encounter dueling away with Wong Shong Wei. Oh, and a spin! Right in the path of these competitors! Oh, my word! Big moment there to try and recover the car. But that was a scary moment for Ben Yuing. He manages to recover. Well, for all of you watching back in Ho Chi Minh, you're going to have to wait for your glory for later. Here's the replay of Ben Yuing. He was on his own. Was there any contact? There might have been, actually. There might have been some contact there from Imran Putera. And that's how Ben Yuing spun it around, so there could be a penalty for his teammate, Imran Putera. It's really hard to tell from that angle, but it looks like there might just have been a love tap, and that will be enough to potentially put an investigation onto his Malaysian teammate. Well, that was pretty tricky. Well done to Ben Yuing for being as controlled as he possibly could be. But that was not easy to get the car stopped. Up the inside, Macagnani has a go on the curbs to get through on Kyo Lee. You can feel the desperation brewing now, and that's really cost him. So here comes Alex Sawyer around the far side. Macagnani trying to shut him down. Alex Sawyer has got to commit to the outside line now. Macagnani is desperate. I'm not letting you get through. But Sawyer's done it round the outside. Excellent run from the Vietnamese driver. It's so frustrating because he's got the 5-second time penalty for his incident with Rajiv. He's not really got a chance here of staying in front of Macagnani, but for the good of racecraft, he wants to get ahead anyway. And there is an investigation between the incident between Imran Putera and Ben Yuing. Watching on in the Black Arts team, it's not the conversation they wanted to be having. And you got a feel for Ben Yuing, of course, because he got a podium finish at Sepang earlier in the year to make it 2 Vietnamese drivers on the same podium, which I'm fairly sure that was the first time in history that had ever happened. But out in first position, Seth Gilmore has just been soaking up all the tension. No problem. Keep it going. What is it they say in Australia? Too easy, mate. And for Seth Gilmore, it's definitely looking that way at the moment. But the Evans GP team find themselves in P1, P2 and P3. But this time, it's Alex Sawyer at the back of the queue. And he's going to stay there with a minute to go. Even if he gets ahead of Kyo Lee, that 5-second penalty is going to drop him back to P4. So that means now that if Seth Gilmore wins this race and Alex Sawyer comes home in 4th position, then there's suddenly going to be 15 points gained in the championship for Seth Gilmore. That means over the course of the weekend, Alex Sawyer will only have gained 7 points to Seth Gilmore rather than the 22 he needs to become champion. That means that we could go all the way to the season finale in 2 weeks' time. There are 94 points available in the season finale, and currently Alex Sawyer leads the championship by 92. But at the end of this race, it's going to change as Alex Sawyer decides he's going to go past Kyo Lee anyway. They're on the penultimate lap, and we're told that the investigation between Imran Putera and Ben Yuing will happen after the race. Alex Sawyer to the inside line of Kyo Lee. This is not a man playing cautious round the outside at turn 6. And Alex Sawyer uncorks the bottle with a beautiful victory in the move there. Absolutely fantastic move. That took guts. That took bold as brass determination from Alex Sawyer. That's a man who's ready to be champion. We've run out of time. He's moved up to 2nd place in the race, but that 5-second penalty is going to cost him points. So the championship title may have to wait for a fortnight. But Alex Sawyer is there to prove that he is still the top banana in F4 Southeast Asia. This man, though, is going to get his time in the sunshine. Seth Gilmore leading the way with 1 lap to go at the end of this one. And nobody can take this victory away from the Australian in terms of his credence and ability. He's done an amazing job. He's 6 seconds clear of his teammate. Let's look at that move again from Alex Sawyer on Kyoho Lee. Hopefully we'll get the chance to see that move again on replay as we go into the last lap. I thought we were going to see a replay there, my apologies. Hopefully we'll get to see it again. But Alex Sawyer's move on Kyoho Lee at turn 6, absolutely phenomenal. One of the moves of the season. How many times have we said that about Alex Sawyer this year, though? In through the hairpin, 2nd position. Will not do for Alex Sawyer. He wants to win every time he gets behind the wheel. But I'm afraid that 5-second penalty is going to cost him. Let's have a look at the replay. We are going to get to see it now. Here is how it works. Look, Sawyer's on the inside line, and he just keeps his foot in. Kyoho Lee's like, what are you doing? And he just drives around the outside. Magic move from Alex Sawyer. Even with a 5-second penalty, he's not going to be deflated. Terrific drive from Alex Sawyer today to fight his way back to 2nd. But the 5-second penalty with Rishon Rajiv is going to drop him back again to 4th position. He will not score a podium this time. And Seth Gilmore is going to find 15 more points than his teammate to keep the title fight alive a little bit longer. On the last lap then, we're watching Alex Sawyer, but the man we need to see is 7 seconds up the road. The Australian, Seth Gilmore, has been absolutely sublime in this race. When all the pressure was on him, he had plenty of opportunities to make a mistake. He's not had the cleanest season, but there he is, Seth Gilmore. What an opportunity for him now. The first breakthrough victory at Banksend was handed to him. This one definitely has not been handed to him. Seth Gilmore rolled his sleeves up today and said, you know what, I'm going to go for the win. And he has done so in style. A fantastic run from the Australian. He scored points in every race this season, but this one is going to be the sweetest race of his year. Out of the final turn, and the Aussie has done it in style. Seth Gilmore wins race 2 of the weekend. What a drive from Seth Gilmore. Absolutely fantastic drive. Sawyer will cross the line in 2nd. But both Kyoho Lee and Nicolo Macchignani will overtake him with the 5-second penalty applied. So Lee will be promoted to 2nd, Macchignani will be promoted to 3rd. Next up will come Rishon Rajiv, who will not be happy about it. Evans GP have claimed 1, 2 and 3 on the road. And a victory for Seth Gilmore. They can be very happy indeed with that. Seth Gilmore, that was the victory of his season. Yes, he won on the streets of Banksend, and yes, that was a joyous moment. But this time, it was not by accident, it was not by default. Seth Gilmore deserved to win from the very start of the race. Excellent job. Well done, buddy. Absolutely heroic run. And of course, with Alex Sawyer going to be demoted down to 4th place, that means that Seth Gilmore has gained 15 points on his championship opponent in one race. Yesterday, Alex Sawyer gained 20 points on him after qualifying and the race. But that means that over the 2 races, Sawyer has only gained 5. And of course, that means that he's going to be a really tough mission for Alex Sawyer to win the championship in the last race of the day. Even though he's starting from pole, he's going to be 15 points back in this race alone from Gilmore. So his lead will only extend by 5 over the 2 races. And he's got to be 22 points more this weekend if he wants to be champion today. He might have to wait for a fortnight. If Seth Gilmore is in the top 3 this afternoon, It doesn't matter where Alex Sawyer finishes. The championship will roll on until 2 weeks' time. So everybody in Vietnam may just have to wait a little bit. Good ride from Kyo Lee. He is promoted now to second place as Alex Sawyer's penalty is applied. Nicolo Macchignani to third, Alex Sawyer to fourth. And you're sitting there thinking, why did Alex Sawyer make the moves for second and third if he knew he had a penalty and he was going to be demoted to fourth? It's a very simple answer, to prove that he could. Macchignani takes his second podium in his second race in F4. Very good work. But out of the car gets Seth Gilmore, and it's the victory he deserves. This time, it wasn't an accident. This time, it wasn't a fluke. He absolutely fought for it from the start. And this time, Seth Gilmore is the absolute king of this race. Didn't put a wheel wrong at any point. Seth Gilmore, race 2, round 4, perfection. A very good drive indeed from his Korean teammate. Kyo Lee gets a second place finish. He can be very happy indeed with that. No worries at all for Kyo Lee. Keeping himself out of the limelight by the look of it. He was dodging the camera. And there's Nicolo Macchignani, third position for the rookie. He also takes the rookie win. 2 rookie wins in 2 starts in F4. Very impressive. So Seth Gilmore takes victory outright rather than by a penalty this time. Kyo Lee in second from Nicolo Macchignani, the rookie winner. Alex Sawyer demoted from second place to fourth after contact with the man in fifth, Rishon Rajiv. Inigo Anton P6, he'll be disappointed. Wang Shengwei seventh from Imran Putera and Ben Yuing, who had a collision. That will be investigated. Karin Carr scores her first point in F4 Southeast Asia, ahead of Wadapong Yamchan, Joshua Berry, and Thomas Yu Lee, who was sadly black flagged after several transgressions. A very exciting race there. The reverse grid race is usually a bit of a thriller, and this round was no exception. Look at Seth Gilmore from lights out as the Evans GP car round the outside, tucked back in for the inside line, allowed the Black Arts cars to drift wide, got the lead at turn 2. Here's the moment that cost Alex Sawyer any chance potentially becoming champion today, tangling with Rishon Rajiv and getting the 5-second penalty. It also cost him time, of course, in the race. A day to forget for Black Arts Racing, dropping to 5th and 6th, and then Joshua Berry having damage after an incident with Wang Shengwei. So disappointing for the Singaporean. Then this collision, it does look as though, yeah, there is a little bit of a tap there from Imran Putera on the back of Ben Yuing. So that's going to be investigated after the race, so the results could change again. Alex Sawyer, not deterred by the penalty, found his way around the outside of Nicolo Macchignani, and then did the same thing to Kyo Lee to move it to second place, demoted back to fourth after the penalty. But Seth Gilmore, dominant, and it's wonderful to see the Australian get a victory his way. Excellent run for the Aussie, and that keeps the championship fight alive for quite a while longer. 15 points gained on his championship opponent in this race. You often find that at the end of a season, when the pressure is there to take the title, that's when your opponents have a chance to get inside your head a little bit. And Seth Gilmore has definitely responded the perfect way. The championship fight is not over yet. All Seth Gilmore has to do is his best. He can't necessarily control what happens to his teammate Alex Sawyer, but he can definitely control what happens to him. And so he's making very good work of the opportunities afforded him. That win in Bang Sen definitely helped him in terms of his confidence. Now he knows he can win. So today, I think he just decided, do you know what? I'm going to win. And he absolutely deserved to. So they'll go to the podium. It will be once again conducted by Dana Durr. For race 3, the podium ceremony will be conducted by myself. They've allowed me to do the podium ceremony for the final race of the day later this afternoon.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now having the podium ceremony for 2025 F4 Southeast Asia Championship, certified by FIA. Round 4, race 2. Congratulations to winning drivers. Third place, Nicolo
An amazing start to his motor racing campaign for Niccolò Maccagnani. Second yesterday, third today, a pair of rookie victories. Absolutely incredible. Great drive from Kyo Lee, his first second place finish of the year. Might not be his last. What a victory for the Australian Seth Gilmore. This is the race where he decided he was going to be in command of his own destiny today. The win is mine. Great job. Great drive from Seth Gilmore. So the trophies will be presented by these three, but the big headline from this race, of course, is that with Seth Gilmore taking the win, and in fourth place, Alex Sawyer finishing off the podium, the championship continues. Niccolò Maccagnani, rookie win and third position. Not a bad start to his single-seater career. Kyo Lee, second place. Not a bad effort from him after a very strong drive. But Seth Gilmore, for one race in this season at least, he can say, I was perfect. Brilliant drive from Seth Gilmore from start to finish, fought his way into the lead at turn one, made it work, disappeared, and now the championship fight ain't over yet, sunshine. The reality of the situation now is that by gaining 20 of the 22 points he needed to initially, and then losing 15 of them, Alex Sawyer has got to find, get this, 17 more points than Seth Gilmore in the third race to wrap up this championship. Mission impossible, but it might just happen. Tune into the third race later, where we find out if we'll crown a champion today or in a fortnight. From Jake Sanson, thank you very much for watching. Seth Gilmore is the winner. Will he get it done in race 3? Bye for now.